God is dealing in a transformative way with each person, and at least in theory, those transformations could be very individualized and very particular, and as many as there are people making the exercises. However, I think there are some that transcend the particularities that Ignatius invited us to. And one is, first of all, just learning the elements of spiritual practices in prayer and meditation and contemplation. And for me, the elements of discernment, because the elements of discernment take me beyond, and they can go with me into my life. And if I understand how to listen carefully to my life experience, then I have something that always is present with me that I can take with me into every aspect of my life. Another element would be examine, because I learn how to watch for the work of God in my life every day, or every class. Since I teach, we do an examine at the end of every class. You can do an examine at the end of every year and say, how was God present in the ebb and the flow of this year? So that's a second very, very helpful transformative dimension of the exercises. But again, they don't only depend on me, and they don't only depend on me being well directed. They depend on God.
It's a pedagogy for spiritual transformation in the Christian tradition, which means that it's about a way of approaching the spiritual journey or getting close to God, which is really organized in such a way that through becoming closer to Jesus, through having this affectionate relationship with him, and there's a process there, you slowly become more and more attached, more and more, you could call it in love with Christ, which means that you then are transformed in a way because your attachments are close to, are for Jesus rather than for other things. So it's a process, a pedagogy to change your affections towards Christ, God, the mystery, whatever you want to call it. And through doing that, through slowly doing that, through using imaginative prayer, through using the different exercises, especially in the second week, you then can free yourself up to follow, because there is only one thing that you get focused on, and that is that affectionate relationship with God. So it affects when you get up in the morning, it affects who your friends are, it affects where you go to Spain, it affects everything, because it becomes the center of your being, if you like. And then the big challenge, I suppose, after you made the exercises, is to stay in that affectionate place.
El texto está vivo. Es impresionante, el texto está vivo. El texto no se lee, el texto se vive. Y realmente cuando se vive, como dice Ramón, este proceso, es tan actual como Dios es actual. Y lo puedo constatar en mi vida, de que es tan actual ahora que me sigue transformando. Y como acompañante lo veo en cantidad de ejercitantes que los transforma. Un texto de hace 500 años.
Well, I was indicating, wasn't I, that basically everything I do now has got to do with that. There's very little left in my life that hasn't got something to do with this. So after I made the exercises, it did change my life, I must say. And it's also what the other thing that happened was that I started to give the exercises, which meant that it's not only my personal life, it's also my job. So yeah, and I think that's what it's all about. It affects the whole of your life. Like I was saying, it affects the time you get up in the morning, what you do with your day, what you give yourself for, you know, everything. What affects your life, what makes you cry, what happens to your life, yeah. But I suppose that's, and that's, I suppose you have to say the middle of it is that affectionate. You fall in love with Christ, basically. And then that's going to change your life forever, isn't it, really? And having said that, there are other ways of falling in love with Christ as well. So this is not the one and only way. It's just been my way. And if it attracts you, go for it.